When I was a child, I thought like a child, I spoke like a child, and I dressed like a child. But when I grew up, I threw away those childish things. What's up, all you good fella fly guys? You know who it is, the Cat in the Hat, your resident fly guy, your chief architect, Michelangelo of StyleArchitects.com, here to help you redesign your frame of mind when it comes to the styling thing. And this week, we are going to be talking all about the seasons of style. And we're going to continue a conversation that started out on Social Intel Saturday. So if you did miss that, pause this and go check out Social Intel Saturday so you have some context for the conversation that we are going to discuss. And before we start that conversation, if this is your first time here, welcome. Yo, I do appreciate you taking the time to redesign your frame of mind when it comes to the styling thing. And if you do enjoy the content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you have already subscribed, then you only got one more thing to do, and that's hit that notification bell, and that way you will be notified anytime we have new content coming out. So with that being said, I know that when it came to the beginning of the conversation or the intro to what we were going to be talking about today, you may have been like, man, why are you quoting Bible verses and stuff like that? And it wasn't quite the Bible verse, but it's probably because I grew up in church, and when I was young, that was just one of the things that they used to, always tell us when we were teenagers, that you got to throw away those childish things. Like, you got to stop acting like a child. And essentially, all that was saying was that we needed to level up. We needed to grow up. We needed to bless up, in order to be dressed up, right? And so we had to evolve. We had to become better than we were, as children, because we were going to have more access to things, and we were going to have more power over ourselves. And with great power comes great responsibility. So we were going to have more accountability and responsibility in the spaces that we were working in. As we grow, and we are continuously growing, it's important to realize that there are levels to this ish, right? There's levels to the way that we're going to be moving, not only in social situations, but also in style. And so I wanted to have this conversation with you briefly to set the tone for the rest of the conversations that we'll be having throughout the rest of the week. So the first person that we're going to be talking to is those young boys, right? The young ones, the freshmen, not literally, but the people who are just beginning to start moving in style. And this is going to be from 16 to 21. And the reason why we're not starting earlier than that is because you don't really have a whole lot of freedom until you get to about 16. Now, I know there's going to be exceptions to every rule, so don't hit me up in the comments. But generally speaking, this is when guys are getting their first car. This is when guys are allowed to stay out a little bit later. And so it's important to really start there. Now, at 16, you're worried about two things. That's sex and social acceptance. That's really all that there is when it comes to your life. And the sex, of course, is as visceral, and literal as you can take it. If a chick touches you, it can create, a reaction. And so because of those things, it's just live and direct. And social acceptance is kind of live and direct because it's right in front of your face. Whether it is the lunchroom, maneuver and trying to figure out where you're sitting in that social hierarchy of high school, or now in the social media age, how many friends you have on your social media, can be a huge and big thing. But before you are quick to just try to do what everybody else is doing, I want you to take a second to think about the people who are really garnering following even now in the social media space. And those are the people who aren't afraid to be exactly who they are. Hey, they may be a little nerdy, they may be a little corny, and they may not always be the cool kid, but it's so interesting that those nerds are now starting to find their own lane, their own social circle, and move within their own style. So from 16 to 22, even if you're in high school, this is a great time for you to start solidifying and creating your own character in your clothing. You may not have access to all the money in the world. You may not have access to all those different types of brands, but you do have access to creating your own personal awareness through your attire. So now what's going to happen in this space is, before you jump out the window and say, man, Mike, I'm going to dress like you and go get me some suits. Hold up, handsome, as my man would say. you got to chill for a second because you're still growing. Literally, you're still growing. So before you go make an investment into a suit, you want to chill out and allow yourself to fully grow into who you are going to become. And so this week we're going to be talking about some different options that you can look at within that space. So now you move from 16 to 21 and then you graduate. Both literally and figuratively, you have graduated into stepping in to manhood. Hopefully you graduated from college, or you're getting ready to graduate from college. You're now moving into an industry that you are passionate about. Hopefully you weren't just chasing the money. And so now you have to consider three things. You have to consider the sexuality, you have to consider the social awareness, and then you have to think about your professional position. So now when you're stepping out, it's no longer just about being aroused by the chick because she has a big butt and a smile. You know that girl's poison. I'm just saying. Now you're in a space where you are thinking about attraction. So yes, she may be pretty, but is she really that smart? Or is she balanced? Is she going to balance you out? Now granted, from 22 to about 28, 29, early on the 22 side, you are still going to be dealing with the crazy chick just because she's pretty. And that's not to say all pretty girls are crazy. Ladies, don't come after me. But you're not really taking into consideration all of those different types of elements that are going to be important when it comes to creating a family or long-term relationships or any of those different types of things, because you're still having fun. And that's because you just jumped into your industry. You just really tasted the full breath of freedom, and that can be a scary thing as well as an invigorating thing. You know, for the first time, you really have to pay bills potentially all on your own. You have a job that you have to report to. Is no more sleeping in because you have to mandate certain responsibilities that you never have had access to at this magnitude. So in that space, you have to consider how you're showing up in style every day. You can't just show up like you did in college with a t-shirt and some jeans on unless you're working for a tech company. But even if you're trying to move up in those spaces where business casual type of clothing is accepted, it's important for you to realize that you still need to level up if you were looking to create a legacy in your industry. Now lastly, if you're moving or you've been grooving and doing the things that you needed to do, then you're moving from 30 to about 40. We'll stay within that 10-year age gap. And at this point, you're really starting to figure out who you are. You're really starting to hone in on your own personal life and style, how you're looking to move. And again, attraction is still there, but now you are looking for longevity. If you aren't already married, then you're thinking about those different types of things. You're thinking about committed relationship because you don't want to be a player no more. You dig what I'm saying? Like you in a space now where you're just like, man, I just want something real. Give me something real and give me something that I can hold on to. And in those spaces, you are starting to even change your social circles. Those circles have gotten a lot smaller. So you may have really cultivated and created some long-term relationships with those friends that you met in college, or you maintained since high school. And even if you didn't go to college, you've gone through your work career and you've really started to solidify a space for yourself. So as you move into this maturing of manhood, you start looking at things a little bit different, and you're starting to say, man, I want to go do these different types of things, whether it's traveling, whether it's exploring a new hobby, or or a new interest, or potentially going back to school. And all these different types of things, you're looking to start leaning towards your legacy. And even when it comes to your style, you're really starting to say, man, yo, I'm just a sneakerhead and I just love sneakers, so I'm going to continue wearing sneakers. But now I'm going to go buy some Berludis or some Breshemis, because I have the resources to do so. You are thinking about quality in everything that you're doing. You're thinking about quality in the type of experiences that you're going to. You don't want to wait in line. If you're going to the clubs, you're going to pay that little extra $20 to get in early. You're not just going to McDonald's to eat every night. You're looking for quality restaurants to be at. And when it comes to your style, you don't want just some basic stuff that all the other the young people have access to. You are looking to start creating something that is substantial within your own life. So the rest of this week, we're actually going to be talking about tactical ways at each one of these points that you can begin to transition your thought and your tailoring of sorts to create not only a closet that is reflective of you, but an impactful image for how you are interacting with one another. So I'm gonna leave you with that. I want you to try that on, see how it fits you. Leave me some comments in the comment box about how you have transitioned, not only through your thoughts and through the social environments that you've been through, but also through your clothing, to level up your style to make sure that you are making an impact. Please make sure that you don't forget that we are here every Monday through Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And lastly, please don't ever forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind, so you should always dress to express. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.